Hey everybody, and welcome back to Stogie Review. And for this week's review, I'm doing the Todos Los Dias from Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. Released in 2017 at IPCPR in Las Vegas, the Todos Los Dias is a third line extension for Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, following the Sober Mesa and the Mi Querida cigars. This one is quite different from those two, as this is a Nicaraguan Puro and it's a pretty strong cigar. It was made to kind of reflect that the old school Nicaraguan Puros back in the day that was really powerhouse, especially considering what was out at the time from Honduras and the Dominican Republic. This cigar is a little bit different when Steve made this one, because he said that a lot of the old school Nicaraguan Puros, even some stuff that's out now, they kind of start off with a really big pepper blast and kind of strong in the beginning of the cigar, and they kind of mellow out as they burn down. This one is a bit different, where it starts off a little mellow and it ramps up in body as it burns down. Now, if you know a little bit about Spanish, you can kind of figure, out that the name of it is a little bit off. It's Todos los Dias, and what that means is all the days. But what it's really was supposed to be is Todos los Dias, which means every day. And the reason that is because in 2001, when Steve was working for JR Cigars, he was down visiting their factory in Honduras, and Estela Padron was working there at the time, who's the brother of Jose Orlando Padron of Padron Cigars, and he gave Steve a really strong cigar. And it's because Steve was really interested in learning about the tobaccos, asking him a lot of questions, and he said, hey Steve, what do you like to smoke? He said, I like smoking really dark, strong cigars. So it gave him this cigar that was just a huge nicotine bomb. And it's like, wow, what this cigar is, it's pretty strong. It's like, this is what you smoke every day? And Estela, his response was, Todos los dias, Steve, todos los dias, which means every day. It was kind of like basically playing a joke on Steve, but anyway, that stuck with him for a long time. And so he's been basically saying that, instead of saying Todos los Dias, he thought he said Todos las Dias. So for 15 years, that's basically what Steve's been saying. So when he took this to Juan Nicaragua, who makes the cigar for him, he told him that that's what he wants to name it, and they were kind of like, that's wrong, right? And he's like, well, yeah, that's kind of the point. It's my Spanglish that I do, that's, all these years I've been working in Latin America, and I still don't know the language properly. It was kind of, a play on words for him. Well, they were pretty adamant. They're like, no, you shouldn't do this. Let's do it the right way. So he did. But come to find out, somebody was already working on that name, and it comes to a gentleman agreement. Hey, well, let's go ahead. We'll do it with Todos los Dias like you're supposed to. Just basically give me a fee for using the name or whatever per cigar, something like that. And they came to an agreement. Well, as they file the copyright for it, or trademark, whatever the right term is for that. Basically, Philip Morris had already had something out about that basically used all the days, or no, excuse me, not all the days, but every day. So they ended up not being able to use it. So it goes all the way back to where Steve was actually going to use the original name Todos los Dias, because it said the attorney said that would be okay. So now that's the name of the cigar, Todos los Dias. Todos los Dias. I keep messing up myself. Anyway, kind of a little bit confusing, long story, but if you go on Steve's Facebook page, he has a lot of information about, his view of the cigar, what he was trying to do, and also why he named it the way he did. It's a lot more in depth than I just kind of gave you, even though it's kind of a long spill. But anyway, the one that I'm reviewing is, this is the half Churchill. And I kind of, honestly, I didn't really mean to pick this size. This is just kind of what I ended up with. And this cigar is a 4 3/4 by 48, and the MSRP on this one is $10.45. It actually comes in a Robusto, a 5 by 52, a Toro, which is a 6 by 52, and a double wide Bellicoso, which is 4 3/4 by 60. Now, if you've ever smoked the Hoya de Nicaragua Antonio line, which is, I love that line. They have one called the Grand Consul, and that's basically what the double wide Bellicoso is. That's the one that I kind of wanted to get, but it was hard for me to find it because where I live at now, nobody has this yet. I think they do as I'm recording this, but when I bought these, they weren't available. So I ordered these from, you know, my good buddies at Cigar Federation, and this is the only one that they had, which is, it's fine with me. This is my favorite size in the Sober Mesa, so I wasn't, you know, too disappointed I couldn't get the size I wanted. But let's see if we can get a better look at that. How dark that wrapper is. Really, really smooth. This is a really beautiful looking cigar. Great, gorgeous color. I mean, it's just a nice cigar. Now, one thing Steve did advise on this cigar was this cigar should be smoking a lot drier than what some people are used to. You know, usually it's, you know, 70% humidity at 70 degrees. I personally don't do that because I live in a really, you know, hot, humid place in Florida, Mississippi, and when I was living in Houston, Texas. It's always hot and humid. So I always keep mine pretty low anyway. But he was saying, you know, try to, you know, keep these around 65% or something like that. Or even when you first buy them, take them, he actually said, put them in your refrigerator for the day, and then the next day get it out and smoke it, and it'll actually smoke a lot better. But what I do is I keep mine at 65% anyway, because I know when I take it out of my humidor and come outside, that it's so humid that it's going to actually add a couple percentages while I'm smoking it. And if I smoke at 70%, it's basically halfway through, it's unsmokable because it's pulled so much moisture out of the air that it just gets this muddy kind of character. It swells up, it's not good. So that's what I do anyway. So let's take a look at this cigar again. It's kind of nice. I love the band. It's a really kind of classy band. And he said the monogram on that, he kind of did it backwards because, well, if it'll do it there, it actually has
my web search turns something up for it. Did the monogram on that? He kind of did it backwards because, have a look.
Shut the fuck up. Anyway, let's take a look at the band here. And as you can see, it's got a monogram to it, but it's kind of backwards, where the last letter is in the middle. Where Todos lost the, that's not even right. He actually did that right. Anyway, let's take a look at the band here. Pretty nice. Well, if it'll focus, there we go. Got a nice monogram band with the D in the middle of it, just like you would in like a normal monogram. And then if you see at the bottom, it's got the script name at the bottom of it. Nice little band. Really cool looking bands. I really like them. I think the original ones were gold and black, where he changed these to silver and black now, which I kind of like the color. It kind of differentiates it from the Sober Mesa a little bit too, they're all classic looking bands. I love the bands that he makes on there. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's cut the cap on this to see what it's like. Really good draw. It's a little bit firm, but it's really good. It has really notes of rich cedar and leather. That's what I get on that cold draw. Really, really rich flavors on this cigar. Let me go ahead and light this up and let's see how it goes here. Now this cigar, I kind of, being a powerhouse and being a Nicaraguan Puro, I kind of figured that maybe a larger ring gauge would be better in this one. And I know that I like the smaller ring gauges. That's kind of what I'll enjoy. So, which is why I like the half Churchill size, or short Churchill, and Corona size and stuff like that. I really enjoy those sizes, but I really think probably the Grand, or I would say the Grand Consul, but the double wide Bellicoso, along with probably the Toro, might be the sweet spot. You see there's a lot of smoke coming off this cigar. It really starts off with a whole lot of flavor in the beginning. And I can see where Steve was saying it starts off mellow, because it's a nice mellow flavor right in the beginning. It has a really nice dark chocolate, kind of a creaminess to it. I do get that leather in the cedar that I got off the cold draw. There's a lot of black pepper, especially when you retrohale the cigar. I get a lot of black pepper. There's a nice nuttiness to it too. It's kind of in the background. It's not anything in the forefront, but most of what I get a lot of is a nice dark chocolate note, that kind of that peppery spice. I also get, you know, the cedar and some leather and a little bit of nuttiness on the back end of it. Now this cigar does have quite a long finish on it, because even right now I'm still getting that black pepper tickleness in the back of my throat. But it's pretty flavorful right in the beginning. Really good flavors. Real full flavored, full bodied, even from the very beginning. Anyway, I'm going to smoke this at a halfway point, and I'll let you know how it goes. See you in a second. Everybody, I'm back. Right about the halfway point now, maybe a little bit before. But the cigar, the flavors are pretty much exactly the same. They just kind of gotten richer. I got the dark chocolate, the leather, the cedar, a little bit of nuttiness, even though that's kind of died away. That black pepper that I got in the beginning now is kind of more like red pepper flakes, something like that. It's got a spice note to it, but it's not exactly black pepper, but it reminds me more of, you know, just the red pepper flakes. It's really, really good. The body of the cigar is really, it's ramping up. And it's one of those cigars too that kind of creeps up on you, because it doesn't smoke like a strong powerhouse cigar. The flavors are really good. They're definitely a lot richer and a little bit on the bitter side, because of probably the dark chocolate note that I'm getting off there. But it's really good, and it reminds me of a lot of the Hood of Nicaragua Antonio blend, kind of like that. So if you like that, this is definitely in your wheelhouse. But I've noticed too that the nicotine content on this one is a lot more than I thought it would be. I'm a seasoned cigar smoker, obviously. I mean, I started smoking cigars in mid-90s. So I've smoked a lot. I've gone to full bodied, come back to medium bodied now. It's kind of like where I'm at, medium bodied. But this cigar, I didn't notice the nicotine content until basically I kind of got up a minute to position the camera and all that. And I noticed there's a lot of nicotine in this cigar. So one of those, you kind of got to watch yourself on this a little bit. But so far I'm really enjoying this. But I'm going to go ahead and finish this cigar off, and I'll give you my final impressions. See you in a second. Hey everybody, I'm back. I'm near the end of the cigar now. This cigar is definitely a powerhouse. It's got a much more full-bodied, just a lot more richer, earthier flavor. So get that dark cocoa, leather, kind of in that cedar woody note. I get the red pepper flake kind of spice to dot off a little bit. I'm getting now kind of like a, kind of reminds me of like a clove or like allspice note. Kind of like, you know, like you get like with jerk chicken when you make that, or jerk pork, that jerk seasoning. Something kind of like that. It's the best thing I can describe it, or best way I can describe that. I'm also getting kind of like a coffee note, and it honestly kind of reminds me of the coffee in Nicaragua, which is a lot more just more full-bodied, you know, kind of bitter earthiness too with the Nicaraguan coffee, kind of what it reminds me of too. But I do get a coffee note. This cigar is definitely really good. Now for me personally, I still prefer the Sober Mesa from the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust lineup. It's just more my style, but this one is definitely really good. I do enjoy this cigar, and if you like full-bodied stuff, like real full-bodied, this is definitely for you. You know, if you like stuff from like Roma Craft, La Flor Dominicana, the Hood of Nicaragua lines, like the Dark Rojo and the Antonio lines, this is definitely for you. You would love this cigar. And even for me that don't really smoke real full powerhouses like this anymore, or it's kind of rare when I do smoke them, this would definitely be one that I would choose, because it's got really good flavor. It's still real well balanced and smooth for what it is, but it is definitely a Nicaragua powerhouse. And for, you know, $10.45 is the MSRP on this. This is well worth that. Well worth it. I really do like the cigar, even though it's really not my style. I do really enjoy the cigar. Now, Steve did say, you know, try to smoke this when it's, you know, lower relative humidity, or let it dry a little bit, because it does smoke better. And I have to totally agree with that. When I first got these in, I got them from, like I said, from Cigar Federation. They put one little Bovita packets in there, and it was at 69%, which is about right. It's kind of what I like anyway. And I smoked it, and I didn't like it as much. It was a little bit more earthy, almost muddy kind of to me. I didn't really, I thought it was like, yeah, I mean, kind of mediocre, to be honest. Well, the last two that I smoked, I let them dry out some more. The first one after that was a lot better, and this one I let it dry out even a little bit more than that. Just kind of let it sit out, and, you know, on my desk in the AC, just let it dry a little bit more, and it got a lot better. So I definitely do think this one needs to be smoked on a lower humidity level than probably some other cigars that, you know, just to get the full flavor out of it. Because to me, it kind of almost opens the cigar up a little bit more, and you get more flavor out of it if you let it dry out a little bit. So this is a really good cigar. Check it out. Go to your brick and mortar and see if you can find these. Like I said, for me it was a little bit hard to find, but luckily Cigar Federation had someone to order them online from them. So check it out, especially if you love full body cigar, because we tell you the nicotine content on this one is pretty stout. I tell you what it reminds me of. It kind of reminds me of the very first edition of the Cro-Magnon from Roma Craft. Whenever Skip and Mike, they first started, they put out, they had a sampler pack of 10 cigars, and the Cro-Magnon was in there, and it had, I don't know exactly what changed, but they seemed to have a lot more Ligero in them, or maybe it's a different type of Ligero, because you had to basically kind of relight that cigar like 4 or 5 times, just because it had a, not really a burn issue, but it was just, I guess because it was so oily. The tobacco in that cigar was just really thick, oily, powerhouse kind of a tobacco in that cigar, and it was a nicotine bomb too. I actually think they're a little bit better now, and just kind of, I guess how they maybe changed a little bit up on that. But that cigar reminds me of this one, how that original Cro-Magnon smoke was just like this. just very rich, full body, big body on this cigar. Really big bodied. Like I said, if you like that kind of stuff, this is definitely a cigar you need to check out. Great price point, great cigar, really well balanced too. But it is it's not real subtle on anything. It kind of reminds me of like that, like at a holiday dinner with all your family. You got that one family member that just says inappropriate stuff at the dinner table. It's kind of what this cigar reminds me of. It's just one of those. It's a real rough, unabashed cigar that is there to let you know, yeah, I'm here and I'm gonna kick you in the face, kind of a thing. But it's really good. Check this cigar out. I just love what Steve Saka is doing at Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. You've got to check this cigar out, especially if you like the Mi Querida and the Sobre Mesa. Check it out and let me know what you think. See you next time.